It's the On Stage podcast with Chris Robert. All right, so we have a special guest here. His name is Troy Dorey. He is from Toronto, and he's not more than like 25-minute drive from here.
Yeah.
And he's an exciting, new, vibrant singer, songwriter, entertainer. And but Mama Didn't Raise No Fool, which is the name of his first single, his debut single, and it was written and performed by him, and is originally produced and recorded by Joao Boza,
Yeah.
Bozai, and remixed in the United Kingdom. So pleased to meet you, Troy. Thank you for joining us.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me on here.
You're very welcome. Can you give us a little bit of backstory of who you are?
Yeah. Who's Troy? Where do I start? Troy is a grown-up version of a little eclectic, creative art form of a human that was born 29 years ago. So I'm 29 years old. I'm a singer-songwriter, plumber by day, as per the family business, singer by night. I've been performing for over 20 years. I have a couple residencies in downtown Toronto where I performed Queen covers. So I was known as like the local Freddie Mercury, which was an insane title to have, first and foremost, like insane. I don't think I ever accepted it. I don't know if I will. But yeah, tons of experience just performing, and that's me. Like my entire life has really been a performance.
So obviously you can't make your money through performing. You can make it through being a plumber, because plumbers make quite a lot of money, actually.
Yeah, the money's decent. But making music is very expensive as well. So it definitely balances out like my home life, my social life. So it doesn't work out to be as much as I want it to be, but it's doing its job for sure.
Yeah, and music is your passion, as I read in your biography.
Yeah.
And I liked how you mentioned you perform Freddie Mercury Queen cover. So you got much like a falsetto like I do, huh?
Yeah, I do have I can go pretty high.
But you probably have a higher one than Adam Lambert, I think.
Would you say so?
Well, he is the lead singer of Queen now, so they must have hired him because he has that falsetto. What do you think?
True. He has a great falsetto. He does it like there's like a very whispery falsetto you can do, which you can hit certain notes, but he can do like belting falsettos, which is like it's unreal. I can do them as well. I don't know if I can do it. I'd have to just try it side by side, which will happen one day. Yeah, so I grew up my family listened to 70s and 80s rock was like the biggest sort of thing played in my house besides country music. So the first time I ever was captivated by sort of anybody in that career space was Freddie Mercury of Queen. I remember being really young and watching him and just thinking his voice was absolutely out of this world, but more so it was what he did while this sound was coming out of his throat. The way that he can captivate an audience, that's what really got me into it.
Yeah, and you embraced your calling, which has helped you propel you towards many great opportunities the past couple of years. Do you suppose that your singing and your performing has gotten a little bit better?
I've actually been performing and singing for 20 years. So I've been performing since I was like 9 years old. I think especially with singing, you discover new things about your voice and what sort of makes it your niche quite often. So I feel like I'm constantly going through a change, but I'm one of those people that are also never satisfied. So it's very on brand for me as well.
What skills have you learned that will help you in your singing career?
I do think something that is overlooked a lot nowadays is just how important performance is versus just vocal ability. Obviously, we're in a generation now where there's social media, so we're getting all kinds of people who are up and coming with absolutely phenomenal voices, like something that I could not even wish to attain if I wanted to, because my style is just very different. But just technically speaking, everything is absolutely insane to me. But the second I see a lot of them go on stage to perform like their vocals that are obviously incredible. I find that there's not too much more to it. It's sometimes a lot of just standing in front of the mic, which obviously will work in a lot of cases. But I'm really afraid of losing the performance aspect of being a pop star or a rock star or anything, because I think it's so important. When I go to a concert, I'm going to listen to my favorite songs, but I want to see how they're going to deliver it. I want to see the conviction that they're going to have when they're performing this song. So I just think it's something that's, for me personally, I hold super close to my heart. I like to, interact with my audience, flips, jumps, tricks, choreography, the works, because I just think it's so important to fully form the image of a performer, I guess.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I heard from Mark that you were sick recently.
I
Um,
was, yeah. I When I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a mental illness that basically, for mine was a little bit different than, because when you hear OCD, a lot of people think like germaphobe and like I must be constantly brushing my teeth and washing my hands and like checking if everything's. There's lots of misconceptions when it comes to it. So I suffered more with something called rumination, which is something that basically with OCD is you get an idea or a thought of something that you might in the forefront of your mind find realistic, but it feels like it's real. And that's the biggest I find struggle with it. So recently, I did find myself fall into a little bit of a spell. I like to call them spirals because it sounds much prettier than like I was depressed. You know what I mean? I spiraled away. Like it was a very rough month for me. I had to cancel a few things. I lost quite a good opportunity, but there's no time for me to sit around and beat myself up for it. What's meant to be is what's meant to be, and in that moment, I did need to focus on my mental health and just I can't be the performer I want to be if I'm not taking care of myself first. So I had to sort of pull away for a month, and the beginning of November, I sort of started to bounce back into it, and I'm just really glad to be feeling like myself again.
and I'm so glad that you're able to bounce back and become the singer you are. I bet you're very happy that you had your first single finally on Spotify, and it's. Do you feel like a great accomplishment? Do you feel that there's more in the works?
Oh yeah, there's tons more in the works. I was very happy to finally get something that was from my heart. I've been writing my entire life, so it was strange that I dwelled into sort of the art form of covering songs. That got really busy. I started making some money doing that, so I feel like the distraction of that sort of world hindered me from making my own music, which is essentially what I want at the end of the day. Um, so yeah, that one once that got released, I feel so good about it. I can say now that I believe I have four tracks in the works right now, and I'm working on my EP. So like, yeah, I just released my first single, but like, hope you all are ready to hear a lot of me because I'm not slowing down anytime soon.
I wanted to know, why did you choose Joao Boza
Yeah,
um, to be the producer and record?
yeah.
And where
So
did you find him?
I found him on a Facebook group. I was reaching out. I met with quite a few other producers prior to John. I just call him John. That's what he prefers now. So, um, quite a few producers before John, and it's very important. A lot of people don't understand how the creative process works all the time, but it's very difficult to be expressively yourself if you're with somebody that not necessarily that there's anything wrong with them, but you just don't your energies don't vibe together properly. So I found that was a lot, and just our creative direction was quite a bit different. And when I finally got to meet John, I believe we messaged for about 2 weeks. He was just going through all my covers to make sure that this is something he wants to dedicate a lot of time into, which is, rightfully so. people have their own lives and things to do. He believed in me. He believed in my voice. I went there, met with him, and right off the bat, it was like a sense of home. He made me feel okay. And his inspirations are the exact same as mine. We're both like 70s, 80s obsessed. So now we're going towards sort of like that mainstream pop with a hint of 80s rock and like a sprinkle of disco. Like that's sort of where I want to go with my music. And he's totally on board, and he's come up with some really great melodies so far.
Talking about creative process, Troy, how did Mama Didn't Raise No Fool come from being nothing to something, and where did the title come from?
Yeah, interesting enough that you bring up the title, because for my creative process, when I do write songs, I always start with the title, because I find that easiest to break down the verses and everything, because the title is like the punchline. So when I write, I want my punchline to be strong. I want it to be something that it's gonna be easy to remember, and that I can work the verses around. So like Mama Didn't Raise No Fool. Okay, so I can talk about I'm not going to be deceived. I'm not going to be tricked. I'm not going to be this and that. Like, and that's just my process for every song. I find everyone's process is different, but for me, starting with the title is better for me. And I take inspirations from everything around me. So I had a friend who was in a few bad relationships. And I was really proud of her to finally see her step out and sort of put herself first. And the lyrics just started coming to me. Like I was like, I'm not falling for your dirty tricks. You know what I mean? Like things like that they came very naturally. And I believe I wrote Mama Didn't Raise No Fool in 15 minutes, something like that. It just flowed. It was a really amazing session between John and I.
How did you know what type of music?
Again, so when I
Genre, I
met with,
think genre.
yeah, genre. I think, like I mentioned, John and I had a very similar interest in what our inspirations were growing up and all that. So I think we the going forward with it initially was like we want to do mainstream pop because we want something that's going to be able to hit the radio, but we want it to give a sense of nostalgia and for people who are passionate still about, because 70s and 80s rock is still a huge thing, and people are in mainstream pop and rock and everything are still sampling songs from the 70s and 80s. There's obviously a reason for that. Melodies, everything about that time is so great for music. But we knew what we wanted to do, and I think it just we laid down the drum beat, how fast we wanted it to go, and then yeah, just felt it out. It's kind of hard to break down because it really is feeling it out. Like you feel the drum, and then you'll be like, oh, I can feel like a da, da, da. So it's just very all as it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then you ended up with this fantastic song. And did you have to run it by somebody, or did you say, "This is the way I want it. These are the lyrics. You better like it, or you're gone," sort of thing?
I think
Give them attitude, Troy.
you know what? If I'm being completely honest, I think that factors of both those things played a role a little bit. As I mentioned to you, I've been doing like performing and singing and writing for like 20 years, so um, there is a sense of pride and emotional connection I feel towards the lyrics I write. However, I do understand that this is a business, and I do understand that certain measures and certain changes need to be made in order to have the best product. So I'm not necessarily against it, and I'm very open to change. But if it is like a lyric I'm very dead set on, it's gonna be pretty hard to change my mind.
I'm trying to think now. Mama Didn't Raise No Fool. So you wrote and you performed it. It was originally produced and recorded by Joe Bozell or
John
John.
Boza, yeah.
And but you decided to have it remixed and produced in the United Kingdom. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so we sort of tried everything here in Toronto to try and get the song to get it some traction, to build a name for myself a little bit. Obviously, that's not something that is just we're going to stop. But the opportunity presented itself with Mark, who it took a lot of convincing because he was in the UK and we were talking for a long time. And pretty much he was so excited to work with somebody like me. He said he has like great visions, whatever. And then 3 days into a conversation, he's like, "So whereabouts are you located?" I go, "Downtown Toronto." And he's like, "Oh man, I'm in the UK. Like, this isn't going to work, unfortunately." He said that I don't necessarily deal with long distance things. And I agree with him. It is difficult in terms of like, you have deadlines, sending in tracks, I have different vocal takes. And then in the UK, there's where he's from, at least, is a 5 hour time difference. Like they're 5 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too proud to beg. Okay, he said that if we wanted to remix the song, he said that he heard the song, he loved it, he would love to have it reproduced, and have it played for the BBC, which is obviously a huge deal. We had to make quite a few changes. I did have I had a curse word in there originally, and a very metaphorical line that he just didn't he just didn't think it would work well on the BBC. Not that it was a bad line or anything, but so those are one of those moments where I had to take a step back and be like, okay, like this is a great opportunity, so I'm not going to flounder it by being prideful and being like, no, I'm keeping these lyrics the same. I was open to it. I switched them up in like 5 minutes, changed the lines. He was happy with it, started recording it, and it's been snowballing since then. So he sort of got me all these opportunities. Caitlin and Caitlin and see, it's hard because I haven't met these people in real life either. So the community, and it's all through Mark. Mark like sends the tracks and stuff, but no, they produced it. Mark is sort of just the like the manager. He gets me the opportunities and then does the communication for me between, and just works out that way. Yeah. And again, it definitely can be something frustrating. And he did mention to me that he wasn't actively looking to take on anybody. He has his artists that he has in the UK. So it sprung up on him pretty last second as well. And I guess that would be taking a huge risk, right? Taking a chance on somebody from across the world, essentially, and believing in what they believe in and thinking that they can make something of themselves. I get that it's a big bet, but he bet correct. That's all I'm going to say to him. And I keep telling him that. Just give me a chance to prove to you that you made the right choice. And that's just sort of what I'm trying to continue to do with him. Whole process has been really, I've been enjoying it very much. Mark is going well above and beyond for me, which I will appreciate probably for the rest of my life, to be honest, because this is him and John are like the first kind of people who really were like, okay, we're gonna make something out of this guy. And I just appreciate people seeing that, because it wasn't something that was celebrated growing up at all. So it's nice to, in hindsight, have something like that happen.
Now, the cover from Mama Don't Raise No Fool, the artwork was by Kim Cardoso. Where did you locate her?
Kim is actually one of my best friends I've known her since grade 10. So 14 years, I guess, at this point. One of the most talented human beings I've ever met. And I say that with full confidence. The most, if not one of the most talented people I've ever met, just in terms of a musical ear, like just an eye for like design, photos, like any kind of artwork that I come out with, Kim's usually behind it. And she's actually going to be making a collaborative effort with me for my EP coming forward, because she's, again, everything she does is she just knows what's good for radio. She knows the little things. She can come up with a melody like this. I can write the lyrics, but she can come up with the melody just as fast. So she is such a huge, crucial aspect to my circle. And it also brings me a sense of comfortability because, yes, I love all these people that I've gotten, to know and take me on, but it's always nice to have a little piece of home to ground you and sort of, and she'll keep me in check, which
I
is always good.
I take it that she has a voice as well.
She's an incredible singer. And it's one of those cases where she's not somebody who necessarily wants to be in the forefront of everything, which I think is crazy because I try to convince her every time I talk to her about doing it. She has an amazing voice. She does some little things on like the Smule app and stuff like that, but
Seriously?
Yeah,
I'm on
like,
Smule as well.
are you? Yeah, there you go. Like things.
You got to send me her handle because then we
Okay.
can do a duet together.
Okay, I'll send you her handle. You'll be very impressed with her voice. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
So one day I'm gonna get my duet with her. It's gonna happen. Kim, if you're watching this, I said it out loud. It's manifested now. So
Oh, she'll watch it definitely, and I want to make sure that her and I follow each other on Smule. I got some Smule songs already posted on my channel, so if you ever want to know, I'm a tenor actually.
Okay, yeah, send me some stuff. I'd love to hear it for real.
I'm a baritone as well.
Baby, lock them doors and turn them light.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I can go low. I don't know if I.
You ever see that video of the Wellerman? Once with the ship, the put to see the name of the ship, and then you have Melinda who's doing the other version. So everyone, you got altos, you sopranos, you got baritones, all singing that. But in background, you got this guy who's like hit on TikTok going, once really low baritone.
That's actually very impressive. That's quite a note you can hit there.
And who else is a baritone? Give me the name of a group where the main singer is a baritone right now.
Main singer is a baritone. Is it an artist or a band?
An artist who is the main singer is a baritone.
You stumped me. Rufus Wainwright?
I mentioned his name. Brad Roberts.
Brad.
Maybe you're too young to know this group. Oh, Crash Test Dummies.
No, I don't know Crash Test Dummies. I thought you were giving me the note breakdown for Hallelujah. I was like, Jeff Buckley?
Brad Roberts is one of the biggest baritones ever. Go to Spotify or go to YouTube, type in Crash Test Dummies and listen to some of those songs. But Brad Roberts is like, you'll only sing like this.
I love that.
Yeah.
Such an impressive.
Yeah. What do you think is the future of the music business? I know that people use social media like Spotify, and I don't know if you remember in the days, you might remember the 45s and vinyl and Napster, and now you can't, but nobody even has a need for MP3s anymore.
I know, it's crazy to think what's changed in music in 20 years. Absolutely wild. We went from having to lug, at least for my personal experience, I feel like I was part of I caught the end of the Walkman, the very end of that. So I think I did that for, a couple of years, but then the CDs, and it's crazy to think in hindsight now that you're literally, any song you want in the entire world is at the tip of your fingers at any moment that you want. You don't have to go nowhere. You don't have to buy something. You don't have to put it in a machine. You don't have to buy batteries for that machine, plug it in. None of that's all there at the tip of your fingers. So in regards to your question, I think that's the biggest thing that really is where the music industry is going, is like streams and social media presence. And there's a lot more to it now.
What do you think of artificial intelligence in music? For instance, case in point, I was watching a video of where they fed 8 seconds of Beatles tune Eleanor Rigby into an AI, and it completed the song. And I heard it, and not only did I have like shivers going through my spine, but I realized it doesn't sound anything like Eleanor Rigby, but it is like a brand new song. And the Beatles, also the AI was able to duplicate the Beatles sound, the Beatles voices. It was just gibberish, English gibberish,
Yeah.
but it sounded good. And it did the same thing with Amy Winehouse, and they fed Amy Winehouse music, how she sings, and AI spit out this new song. He thought it was from Amy Winehouse, but it's a total AI. What do you think of that? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think I've caught a couple of those videos as well. It's hard to say because I agree with what you said. The product that came out at the end was very, very above decent. Like, it was pretty good. So it does give me a sense of like fear, I guess I can say, that it just won't be as authentic to have like something like AI create a song versus somebody who's lived through experiences and have felt the feelings. And so I don't I wouldn't use it necessarily for myself, but I mean, if it's able to come up with great melodies and great music at the end of the day, I mean, is it really a huge deal if we love the music anyways?
So who would actually, if the AI created this beautiful song and it became a hit, who gets paid for it?
Good question. Good question. Hopefully me somehow. Send them an email or something.
So if you feed your lyrics into an AI and it comes up with this brand new song, you're going to take credit for it?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I haven't even explored this
Deep question,
idea.
eh?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I don't know. What if it's better than me at writing and stuff? I might get a little bit. We might get into some competition, me and the computer.
Who do you think would have more of the experience, the emotional impact? The one who saw an AI version of you, or the one that actually literally saw you perform in real?
I think the people who literally see you, because when you're singing again, it's all about emotions and how you're translating those emotions. So that energy is very, it's, what's the word? It's almost tangible. You can feel it in the room. So I'm assuming, like for example, Brian May of Queen, when he tours now, he performs "Love of My Life" with Freddie Mercury hologram, which is something in that instance, it's absolutely beautiful. And every single time he does it, Brian May cries. So it's heartwarming. It's absolutely beautiful. So I guess where I'm getting to is, if I die, make a hologram. I'll take that. But while I'm still breathing and able to do it, I would never accept that offer of having a hologram be replacing me. As long as I'm able to do it, I got two legs and a heartbeat, I'm ready to go.
Would you consider seeing a 1950s hologram AI version of Elvis singing and performing on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people? Or and then suddenly you're like, what was the performance like seeing Elvis live? So I didn't see Elvis live. It was an AI. It was a hologram. And
Yeah,
then this 89-year-old over here says, I saw Elvis live and I met him and everything. This was crap.
yeah.
What's your response to that?
Um, I think that's pretty justifiable. I think it is more. I don't want to use the word valid, but it is more legitimate to have watched him perform live versus as a hologram, and that's just the bottom line truth of it. I feel like if you have an option to see someone in person, flesh versus hologram, most of the time will probably be chosen to be in person.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I want to experience that. I,
yeah.
I'm,
I
I'm
think it
totally
gets.
against VR, but there's some cool stuff, I admit.
Yeah, I think it could be also for the novelty of it. Like Queen is something I use as a perfect example because so I was born in 1993. Freddie Mercury passed away in 1991. Um, so it's always been a weird thing that he's had the biggest influential impact on me as an artist. Yet I've never even breathed the same air as him on Earth. because I was born 2 years later. So it's crazy to me that someone who is so present in my life and has impacted me as a human being, I've never even existed at the same time. That's mind blowing to me. So I feel like if I was offered to go watch an entire Queen concert with Freddie as a hologram, I would take that personally because it's better than nothing. But again, it wouldn't be comparable. It still wouldn't be comparable, obviously, but I would take it because the novelty of it and like, I it's something that I won't ever get to do anyways. See him live.
What do you think of the pushback to him when you had the Michael Jackson hologram? What did you think of that?
That was when it was all pretty, I guess, being introduced, huh? So I was I was quite blown away by it, to be honest. I remember they did it with, I believe, Tupac as well. Was right before
Yes, I remember that. Oh my
Michael
goodness.
Jackson. Um, you can't deny that it's absolutely incredible to just as itself. It is so cool to see like this live animated person that is literally not real. So I remember initially I was like, this is awesome. Like this is something I would love to go do. But now as I'm like diving deep in into my music, it definitely, if I'm still around, it's not something that I would explore at all.
I don't know, Troy, because they offer, I can bring your parents back to life. I can get you to spend time with your mom and dad in the house you
Yeah,
grew up in anytime you want. All you have to do is just take this, press 12 or something. Or if you want to be like 4, you press 4 and you can have a hologram of yourself running and watching your parents lift you and carry you. And I don't think I'd want that because it's not real. It's a memory to keep memory, but I wouldn't want to be walking in. Now, many people disagree with me. There are people out there would say, I love to see my parents or brother or sister, whatever, again, or my grandma. I love to walk into a holodeck and my grandma sitting there and she's knitting that blue sweater that I currently wear
yeah.
and talk to her. But the only thing is, like, they have, I don't know if you're familiar with Sophia.
No. Oh, Sophia's
Um,
robot.
she is a AI robot who can actually respond
Yeah, I've
to
seen
your
this. She can respond emotionally and like she
with their
gives.
faces and everything. That's
Yeah,
dangerous, Troy,
I
because
agree.
they have like the Tom Cruise. You ever seen the Tom Cruise face app? You have this guy doing these TikTok videos like Tom Cruise, but it's not really him.
Yeah, it's the
That's
it's the yeah.
that's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. Um, but I love talking about this. So, what was COVID-19 like? How did the pandemic affect you?
Um, man, COVID-19, huh?
Yeah,
What
I don't
if?
want to talk about it either, but go
No,
ahead.
no, I'm saying like what a 2 years that was insane. Um, initially I was quite affected only because I was at the peak of my schooling of music production. I was really starting to get into the things that I knew I wanted to learn going into it. And music production is it does not translate virtually versus being at the school and working on the mixing boards, and it's just something that it does not translate at all. So that was really rough. I'm an extremely social person. I rely on um, my friends and my family and my social sort of environment to it brings out the best in me, and that's when I'm the happiest is when I'm around people. So that was hard for to not be able to like hug somebody. It was very difficult. It took a toll on me mentally for I would say like the first year, but I mean after the first year, it kind of just like for everyone else, my like it just sort of became the normal. So I just kind of got used to it. Um, and then the first time I was able to get out again and hug my friends, it was like you take a lot of things for granted in life.
Do you have a place you like to go to think and meditate before you go and you start writing again?
Yeah, I think we all do it in some shape or form. Um, when I personally go into like writing music, I don't like to necessarily sit and channel a specific emotion. In fact, I'll try to just use mindfulness to create like a clean, clear slate for me so that there's no boundaries or like anything influencing any creative idea that's going through my head, because once you set any kind of block for anything creatively, you can be missing out on something that could change the world. You know what I mean? So I like to be mindful to just allow myself to creatively express whatever is going to come out naturally. But in terms of like a dark place, yeah, I think we all have that. I think I've drawn inspiration from it before. Um, Again, not necessarily sitting down in a writing situation and being like, okay, let's get in that dark place. But I've been in dark places where um, I have the ability to channel that and write a song about it. Um, and it's easy. I feel like it's easy to get to a dark place for anybody if you were to sit there and really just dive into everything that may be in your brain. I think it's easy so to get into that. So I really do try to keep myself on in a positive mindset. That's why I like to surround myself with positive people, good energy, um, people who are aware of my boundaries and just things like that. It just there's lots of practices you can use to stay out of that dark place. But I'm not going to say as a songwriter it doesn't benefit sometimes.
I'm surprised when I mentioned to you about how the pandemic affected you. I was thinking, like, didn't you put yourself online and do online concerts? Because I know Randy Rainbow and Chris Mann, they all started right when the pandemic started. They said
Yeah.
they couldn't perform anymore. So Chris Mann did his parodies, and Randy Rainbow did his, songs about Trump and making fun of senators and stuff,
Yeah.
which was pretty funny. And there were I know the pandemic hit opera singers really, really badly, but they were able to do like online concerts, virtual concerts, and a lot of podcasters started up too, because you see, like with me, um, I started a podcast last year. This is my first year. Friday was the first year anniversary, and
Congratulations. That's really big.
yeah, I took a communications course around this time last year, and I said to myself, "When am I going to use it? We're all in the pandemic. We have social distancing. We can't really talk to people." I said, "I know what I'll do. I'll come up with a podcast." And then I got one of my friends, a musician. Can you be my first podcast? And suddenly it blew up from there. What do you think was the? I don't know. Can we put this question in the same? I don't think you want any more questions about quarantine or pandemic, do you?
You can ask whatever you'd like. I'm totally open for whatever.
Okay. What has been the most hardest and challenging part about being quarantined?
Um, yeah, definitely not having the energy that I like to surround myself with normally. I have a very tight group of friends um, that really keep me sane and keep me um, with a PMA, which is a positive mental attitude. Um, so that was probably the roughest because I like I mentioned, I'm a person who needs that kind of support. So not having it virtually and like we were doing like hanging out via video calls and things like that, but it was not the same. So that is what really started to take the toll on me after the first year. I was like, okay, like I'm really starting to feel the void now. So that for sure, like easily, that's the hardest thing for me. Like I performed while during quarantine. I did quite a few live concerts. I did a few interviews, but most importantly, I am backlogged for so many potential songs because I spent a lot of time just writing during quarantine. So I, although it might not it on the forefront to my followers and everything, it may not have looked like I was up to too much, but we're going to be seeing the outcome of that shortly, I think.
Can't wait. Yeah, most musicians actually have a backlog of songs. I know that Prince and the Beatles just released a few more songs that have
I
never been
know.
released before.
I know. It's nuts.
And Prince has 100 songs or more to come out with 15, 20 more albums. And I bet you Michael Jackson, I bet you they're going to find some new songs from Elvis. It's just, it's a great, it's great because there might be some songs when you hear about Elvis Presley has just released new songs. I know he didn't. Yes, but the hologram AI version did.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I remember listening to the radio a few years back, and they're like, "Enjoy Whitney Houston's new track," and then it was "Higher Love," but it was a remix. But they mentioned I was like, I don't know if the host is maybe a little bit late on the news, but I don't think Whitney's with us anymore. Um,
No.
but yeah, so things like that. Queen's coming out with a new song as well, like with Freddie.
With Freddie, why? Then why don't they just do it with Adam Lambert?
It's recorded with Freddie's vocals. It's just something they never released. I think that I'm so excited to hear that.
Really?
I'm so excited.
I don't know. I think you let the dead rest. I like. I wouldn't want to like if my like case in point. They want to film, produce, write, film, and direct a movie with James Dean himself.
How would
Yeah.
that work?
Either using a face app or an AI or a hologram.
Huh.
You ever
Like what
I
they
don't
did
know.
with Paul Walker at the end of Fast and Furious, sort of thing. I believe they put Paul Walker's face on his son in that movie.
I think that's kind of weird to do that. I don't know. I'm really against it, but if it helped, it worked. If the son did it, why not?
Yeah.
Um,
For I guess that definitely could be applicable to a lot of people. I can see why that would be an uncomfortable thing. For Freddie in particular, I think just knowing how he was and his personality, I'm pretty sure he'd absolutely love it. Have a little bit of attention, you know what I mean? But it comes down to the person and you know, everything's is about perspective. So
and I know that there's a duet out there, and you probably know which one I'm talking about. And they put two totally different people together. And I'm going to give you the name. It's called "Hold Me Closer." Do you know which song I'm talking about?
yeah,
What do you think of that? Do you think they should have been like how do you put Britney Spears and Elton John together? Like,
I know. How did it even happen? I know.
yeah.
And this is, I think, the second song Elton John has remixed with a current artist in a year because he just did with Dua Lipa. I think it's gonna be a long, long time. The
Oh, wow. Is he doing that now?
and that's the second one in a year's time frame. So yeah, I was kind of like I thought it was just gonna end with Dua Lipa. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. I feel like an ass, but I don't enjoy the song, the Britney Spears Elton
Mm,
John one.
I don't
I think
either.
it takes away from the absolute masterpiece that is that original song. Um, I understand the fab of having Britney back. Absolutely, she deserves to be back on the scene doing her thing. So happy she got out of the horrible situation she was in. I just think that, like you said, it's just where did it come from? Who was like Britney and Elton? There's her comeback song.
Elton John doesn't need a comeback song. He was supposed to retire and now he's suddenly back again?
He's had like 3 farewell tours.
And Billy Joel retired after River of Dreams, and he never even. It's funny because I remember Billy Joel asked Elton John. Billy said, "Elton, when are you going to stop writing music and retiring?" And Elton says, to "Billy, when are you going to start writing and producing again?"
Yeah,
Some people just want to quit. Like Rolling Stones should quit. Aerosmith should quit.
yeah.
I mean,
I
I
do
would never put.
understand from a performer's perspective, like the addiction though. Like when you're going on stage and performing is like it's literally like a high. You're a completely different person. You have adrenaline. You feel like you're dreaming. Like it's such a euphoric, incredible feeling. So I understand from the perspective of like I don't know if I'm like 76 years old and I'm not brittle and I'm able to hold the microphone and still strut around. I would probably do it because I understand it from an addiction type view. It's kind of like professional wrestlers, huh? Like they'll damage the hell out of their bodies, but they'll make a comeback at 65 and take bumps in the ring and it's comes down to passion, and passion is sometimes our worst enemy, I guess.
So let me come up with four artists, and you tell me who you want to pair them with. Let's say if you and I think alike. Josh Groban. Who would you pair him up with?
Mm. Louis Capaldi.
Really?
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool ballad.
So you're gonna with his voice and his voice.
Yeah, they're very different timbres, but very same in terms of beltiness and wideness of the sound. I think it might be sound pretty cool. Again, that's a shotgun answer, so that's just what came out.
Okay, how about my favorite, Taylor Swift? Who would you pair her with?
Oh, God, I mean, I feel like anybody can go with Taylor Swift. She's great. Who would I like to see with Taylor Swift? Who? I feel like I would want it like what? Oh, gosh, what kind of song would I want it to be? I'm like, do I want it to be a poppy one? Do I want it to be country? Um, Maybe like a Taylor Swift, like Megan Trainor type.
Megan Trainor. Okay,
I
I'll
can
go
see
with
a little
that.
bit, or like a John Legend, maybe.
John Legend. Wow, you're reaching. Okay, I like that second one. Third one would be Peter Cetera. Now, I think he's been paired with a lot. I think. Who do you think? Who would you get Peter Cetera to do one duet song of your choice?
Um, I feel like I have a very strange way my brain's thinking of how they can sound. Because my answers, you might be like, what the hell? Like, what do you think about like Tim McGraw?
You, I like Tim McGraw because I love that song.
Live Like You're Dying?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the song. It
I
must be my
performed that
age.
one a few times live.
So Tim McGraw and Peter Cetera song. Okay, country artist and I don't even know what Peter Cetera. What genre is he? He's
I
from
guess
Chicago. Is he pop? I don't know if he's pop.
he's definitely not mainstream pop. If he's pop, he might be one of the sub genres of pop.
Yeah, that's interesting. Good stuff. So is anybody else in your family musical, or is it just you?
Um, yeah, my oldest brother was a drummer for quite a few years.
Okay.
So he did that. He doesn't do it anymore though. And my grandfather on my dad's side was a big like accordion player back in the day. So he recorded a bunch of CDs and he toured um, North America, I believe, at one point. And
Wow.
but it's very old timey type of like bluegrass kind of. So nothing really in my wheelhouse. But that's about it. Yeah, I was definitely the weird, eclectic, creative one growing up. I had no, although my family loved me, I love my family. There was no placement for me in there. I didn't fit anywhere.
Did you manage when you're doing your plumbing job, your current job, do you always sing while you're doing?
Yeah, plumbing is definitely it's something that I can honestly say I dislike thoroughly. Um,
Oh,
so the goal is to achieve my dream and become a performer. That's all I want to do. I want to be able to spread positive energy and self love and help change the world in any little way that I possibly can.
I like that. Who would you most like to collaborate with?
Lady Gaga.
Wow, that's a quick answer right there. Wow.
Lady Gaga. And there's no other answer at this time. Once I collaborate with her, I'll figure it out. But Lady Gaga.
Excellent choice. I do like Lady Gaga. She's actually really cool with her fans too. And sometimes she'll drop in on classrooms. I think she was a teacher once. What's the one message you would like to give to your fans?
Ooh. If I had to narrow it down to one message, it's a little cliche, but it would be to stay true to who you are because I strayed away from that a lot growing up to sort of make the people in my surroundings more comfortable. And sitting here in this spot right now in this moment, I really regret that because those kind of things carry you with life in life, and you don't want to necessarily have a passion that you feel like is not the right thing to be doing, because it's a heavy feeling and it brings up conflictions in your head that just shouldn't even be there. So my best advice would be to stay true to who you are. If anybody tries to tear you down or tell you what you can or can't do, literally there's nothing that they can say that will influence your own drive and your own passion. So just tunnel vision on what you love, and take, not even with music, take that with you in every aspect of your life, and you will live a happy life, I'm sure of it.
I like that. I really agree with you. That's true to life right there. Um, so, if it wasn't for your music, what would you be doing right now?
um I'd probably be doing something in management or customer service. I love interacting with people. It's like I love chatting, I love talking.
That's not
And
bad.
yeah, so I'd probably be in that field.
That's awesome. Yep. Uh, so, what is the best advice you've been given?
Oh, best advice I've been given. The best advice I've been given is to take inspiration from all the little things that make you happy to be who you are, and take those little inspirations and make it into what you want to represent as an artist, at least. So that when I was told that, it was very, because when you're in this industry, it's hard to not feel like you have to be one way or the other, but that's just not the case. You can take inspirations for I love opera music. I'm a musical theater kid, but I was raised on rock music. I have a passion for pop music, so every little thing is going to make me who I am, and it's going to make me perfectly unique.
Yeah, we all got to be unique. You don't want to be like let's say you were just someone who did all Queen covers. I mean, how unique is
Exactly.
that? That's not unique.
And that's how I got out of it and started making my own music. As I spoke to the promoter and the guy who was working with, there's obviously no issues. He treated me fantastic. When it was time to go, he was kind of like why are you doing this? Like, it's going so well. And what I told him was, I want to be the first Troy Dorey, not the second Freddie Mercury. And that's something I still stick very true by. Obviously, no shade at all to Freddie Mercury. Even if I tried, there will never be another Freddie Mercury from me, from anybody who will ever be born ever. There will never be another Freddie. So why try to go for that? Create a legacy like Freddie, but your own. And that's sort of where I'm at. I want to be able to influence people the way that Freddie influenced me.
Are you a Panic fan?
Like Panic at the Disco? Um, I won't say that I'm not gonna say don't. I enjoy their music. I'm not a
I
full
am.
fledged, yeah. I'm not a full fledged like follower of them. Like, we'll wait for music. For me, that's Lady Gaga. Like, that's my go to. But they have great music.
A lot of his band members left, so he decided to do solo tours as
Yeah,
Panic.
he's a very underrated vocalist as well, I
He's a
thought.
very underrated vocalist. Now, here's someone I would love to pair him with. I don't know what you're going to think of this, but how about this? Brendan Urie and Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons. What do you think?
No, I think that would be epic.
Yeah, it would.
No, that would absolutely work.
Two of my favorite. Yeah,
Imagine Dragons are incredible as well.
they are. Yeah.
Walk Off the Earth too is a great band.
Oh, you like that band?
Yeah, I do like them, especially they're incredibly talented musically. Like, I don't know if you've seen them on TikTok, but they all play, like, they're sitting beside each other and they're all playing one instrument, just leaning against and playing different parts of it. They're
And
doing
some of
like
them aren't even instruments. They're just like objects that they make.
objects. I
Yeah.
know, insane. So yeah, they're super talented. I like their music as well.
I suppose that singing is the only instrument that you know how to do. Do you know any other instruments?
I play a bit of piano by nothing, like, I can't read music or anything. I play it by ear. If I'm listening to a song and I sit down and I'm working on learning it, I can learn it. But no, I put all my energy and my effort into performance art.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to. I've always been very theatrical and want to be noticed when I walk in the room type thing. So this, I just love the reaction of wearing something that's so, to me, it's like so cool. Like that's a cool person walking in there with that. For other people, it might be like, what is this whack job doing? But it goes back to the advice I gave. It makes me so happy to wear those clothes. I make a lot of them myself as well. Um, and it's the reaction. I want to be able to walk out and for people to be like, what the hell is this guy doing? Any reaction is a good reaction, I guess, in this business.
Well, they probably did the same emotional outbursts when Tim. Remember, I don't know if you've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show with Tim Curry.
Of course.
I'll be watching that and going, oh, maybe like you want to have this control of you want people to see you as, you know, and I don't know. My mother took me to see Rocky Horror Picture Show in the big screen, so it's like, and I think I saw it on stage as well. But then you got Elton John who kind of dressed up back in the 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
big glasses and everything. So
Freddie
you know,
Mercury would wear quite flamboyant
yeah,
costume.
yeah,
I like
definitely.
to, like, my style when I'm performing very much is kind of like a male Lady Gaga, like that sort of, like, when she came out with a meat dress, everyone was like, that is absolutely disgusting. What is this woman doing? I was like, that is so smart and so fashion, so nice. So I'm very eclectic and weird like that with campy theatrical clothes as well. I think it makes a statement in its own. I don't have to say a word, and it's such a statement. Look at this man who's wearing. Why is this man wearing nail polish? Why is he wearing a long earring? Oh my God, the audacity. You know what I mean? It's like, I like those kind of things.
You do realize that it was men who developed and wore the earring first, huh?
I do.
And you know the second thing is that women weren't allowed to act in the Shakespeare play. So Romeo and Juliet, Juliet was a man.
That's how drag started. Shakespeare, I believe drag stands for dressed as a girl. So yeah, that's something I'd love to play on. I like to play on the androgyny and people to be confused, I guess, by it. Ridiculously so, but it's I like it. It's my expression, so I will never stop doing it.
Are you actually a big fan of Lady Gaga? Do you know
We,
everything about her?
we can get into a lot of stories about how big of a fan of Lady Gaga I am.
All right. So what's her real name then?
Stephanie Joanne Angelina Jolie.
Shoot.
Birthday March 28th, 1986.
Madonna, Madonna Veronica Louise Ciccone.
Okay, there you see, sort of the same thing. Yeah, I used to celebrate in high school. I used to celebrate Lady Gaga's birthday in my bedroom as a teenager.
Wow, you must have posters all over on your wall of her too.
It was like, now there's no posters and I'm sort of just, I keep it all internal, but yeah, in high school was a lot. I was obsessed. A lot of people that I have still in my life from high school, they still can't listen to Lady Gaga songs because I just absolutely ruined it for them.
When you're on stage performing, how do you deal with anxiety?
Right before I get on stage.
Yeah.
There's no, once I get on stage and the adrenaline hits, you don't feel nothing. You can say whatever you want to me, you can throw whatever you want at me. You're not going to change my mood once I'm on that stage. But going into it is almost a panic every time because you want to be the best representation of yourself, right? You don't want to go out there and show your art and your vulnerability and people aren't satisfied with it. It's a hard thing to swallow. So going into it, I'm always like, am I gonna be able to hit these notes tonight? Like, why do I feel a little scratchy over here? Oh my God, I'm gonna forget these words. You get out there and it's mostly always okay.
If your audience that you were performing in front of, well, thank you for not telling me that. Oh, I fell off the stage once, or
Nope, not yet. Knock on wood.
how would you invigorate your um, audience if they look bored and looking at the watch saying, I wish this guy would end?
Um, well, first and foremost, I hope not. I hope that never happens. Um, Again, I do a lot of things that are not standard for like pop stars to do on stage and stuff. Like I do flips and I dive off the stage into a back bend. I wear extravagant clothing. I interact with the audience in between. So if I ever saw that they were boring, the only thing I can picture myself doing is I'm a very comedic person. So I would take the time in between songs to, I guess, gear up and head in another direction, maybe lighten up the mood with some jokes and then figure out what direction to go. Really, I'd have to feel it out, I think.
Do you have a drop the mic moment?
Drop the mic moment. Yeah, I do have one story of a kind of drop the mic moment that was pretty funny. I was doing a performance battle with just somebody at a local competition. I met him at a local competition, and we did a show together after that. But we hung a few times, and at one of the shows we did performance battle to "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley, and man, I was I was doing things I did not even know I could do. I was doing the worm across that stage. I was jumping up to my feet, cartwheels, death drops, flips,
Wow.
all while still singing. I cannot promise how good the vocals were while I was doing all those things, but I do remember people being absolutely just had no idea what to even do with the information that they just took in, and everyone stood up, and that was kind of like a mic drop moment because I was like, I threw in everything but the kitchen sink for that performance. I was like, listen, I'm just gonna, if I have 3 minutes to let you guys know what I'm capable of doing, I'm gonna start right at second one and I will stop at when the song is done. I gave everything for that. I was very sore the next day. I do remember that.
Do you have any weaknesses that you're currently working on?
Yep. I'm somebody who likes everything to be perfect at all times, especially when it comes to performances. I like everything to be absolutely perfect. Songwriting, and sometimes that makes my processes a little bit drawn out, longer than they should be, and I can find myself, going into a little bit of like a, what do they call it? Like when you're on TikTok and then you mean to be there for 1 second, then you're there for hours. There's a word for it, but I'll do that. I'll just keep going and going, going, going. And then I'll start seeing things that aren't even there. Like in terms of like, oh, do you hear that like sound at that part? And I'm like, no, that's just you listening to it
Oh,
for this 36th time. So John is my producer, definitely, helps me out with that to keep my feet grounded. Cause yeah, I overthink a lot, a lot, a lot.
take it that you like to hang around with other musicians and other singers as well?
Yeah, I think the company you surround yourself with is very important, especially in terms of drive and inspiration. And I think just surrounding yourself with people who love or do the exact same thing that you do, it's only going to further inspire and push you to keep doing what you love.
I want to be a singer-songwriter, and I come to you and I ask you, so I want to do what you do. What do you tell me?
I want to do what you do. First and foremost, understand who you are and what you want to present to the world, because people are going to be listening when you write songs and music. It's supposed to be geared towards people who can listen to lyrics and it can help them get through their daily problems in life. So definitely, again, it goes back to that original thing I said, like staying true to who you are is so important, because nobody wants to people who don't feel like they have the confidence to be who they want to be, they lean on people like us who sort of inspire and push people to be themselves. So I think it's very important to have a clear understanding on the bigger picture of what you're doing musically, because a lot of people just are like, I want to be a singer because I want to go to red carpets, I want to go to get drunk at big Hollywood parties, and it's not about that. You have to be passionate about what you're doing and like why. Like I would probably the first thing I would ask them would be, first and foremost, tell me why do you want to do this? What has made you come to that realization? And after like, oh, like, you know, I want to be chased by cameras when I walk out the door and this and that, I'd probably say it's probably not the best thing, because those things seem like they're all great and amazing, but after a week, I'm pretty sure it gets very old quick. So that's like the bare minimum. You have to be passionate and have a very steady and strong message that you want to have relayed to people.
Thank you very much for being on the podcast with us today. I really appreciate it. I learned all about what you do. It's excellent. Great. Thanks for trying again with coming. I know when you were sick last time, you had to cancel it. But
yeah, with too.
you're
Yeah,
here
so
now.
thank you so much also for being understanding and having me back on here. I'm really
You're
glad I
welcome.
didn't miss the opportunity this time around. And yeah, you were great. Made it very comfortable. So I appreciate that.
All right, Troy. Sorry for taking too much of your time and blabbing there, but
Not at all.
that's great. Nice to see you, and I really appreciate this opportunity. So I'm going to just wait there. I'm just going to close this. End broadcast, Troy. Dorey, the newest male Lady Gaga.
I'll take it. I love it.
Male Gaga.
I love it.
Okay, hold on one second.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's you and me now, barely a sound in the distance. There's not a neighbor, no one to disturb us right now. I hate this game of rushing around. Slow down, you're like a landslide, taking me out when you feel like. And while we're falling, you make me feel like it was my fault. I need to find myself a way out from you. I stayed away cause I was afraid. Now I am much better without you. But now you're here to instill fear and catch me now. My biggest mistake was getting a taste cause I got addicted to you. So I said no. I'm not falling for your dirty tricks this time. I gotta say no. Find some other people who will go and stroke that ego for you. Getting my life back, taking it back from you. Cause you need to know